everything. It doesn't matter what any of us are creating, what any industry we're in. Like, it all is gonna derive from relationship with self, bringing it back to self. The more that we heal self, the more we can heal other people. The more we see ourselves, the more we can see others. Everything is about do to you and then do unto others. Get the healing and then express the healing. And that's the way it is. That's how I see life, and that's how I see business.
Welcome to Be Bold Branding, where we discuss the power of differentiating yourself through your own unique story and standout personal brand. What does it feel like to make your mark on the world? Today's guest has helped his clients do exactly that. Mark Sephton is referred to as the King of Conversation and has conducted over 5,000 life-changing interviews with thought leaders and creatives. His mission is to empower people to unveil their inner story, voice, and visibility. He's also the author of 3 books on the subject of personal development, and he's a BrandFace client. Join us as we dig into the story and the star behind the business.
Mark, welcome back to Be Bold Branding.
Well, I'm certainly bold.
Yes, you are.
That's what attracted us to you to begin with, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like BrandFace, be bold. I've got the lot.
You do. So nice to see you again.
Yeah, really good to see you again. We've been friends long before even Mark of a Man book.
Yep,
that's true.
Yeah, and you've had 2 since then, correct?
No, but I've been doing a lot of writing for various magazines. I have plenty.
That's right.
I have plenty of books in me, though, Michael. But the reality is it takes about 6 months to get your thoughts down onto paper, and that not for many of us will we make a lot of money out of books, but it's a way just to, I guess, build credibility, to reach a different audience, to have a little bit of kudos and a little bit of achievement. But for me, I'm spending more time writing articles that are being digested and making a difference. But certainly, love writing as a whole. It's very cathartic, as well as a great way to, really inspire other people and also showcase, the voices and the stories and the products and the services that my clients, are living out of day in, day out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that sort of leads perfectly into my first question, actually.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's like these things somehow. I don't know how you know these. But was there one specific person or event in your life that caused you to focus on helping people like that, to helping their voice and to unveil their story?
Yeah, I think, and to be fair, I have to say, like, during the journey with working with you guys and actually really me reflecting on some of like my motivations, it was through a session I had with Tonya, actually, which really like made me reflect on, I'm always fascinated why people do what they do. And I think there's a couple of things that I was a little bit like, yeah, that really makes sense. So, for me, in terms of like visibility and giving people a voice and giving people a platform, really stems from a tough childhood where I came from a broken family. And, I was bullied a lot at school, and that was partly because when my parents divorced, I comfort ate, I put on a lot of weight. And it was through that obviously I'm going to school and kids are bullying me, calling me fat, and, just calling me names, and my confidence was pretty low, and it certainly is a big part of why I love giving people a voice and a stage, because I know what it was like to not feel seen. I know what it was like to not be felt. I knew what it was like to not have a voice, to not feel like I matter, to be low on confidence, to not understand my purpose. Teachers compared me to my more academic sister. I could recount numerous events in my childhood which, were difficult and challenging. But the beautiful thing is I honestly believe that when we go through some of the most painful experiences of our life, it actually is to be able to teach and bring healing to other people that will come up behind us afterwards in a way that is full of empathy and full of direction. And so for me, actually, that's a big part of, my journey. And actually, when it comes to visibility in particular, my challenge to people is, when you look at you, what do you see? And some people don't even ask themselves that question. And for me, when
Mhm.
I'm working with clients in particular at the start, I'm really getting them to answer, who is it that you see when you look in the mirror? Because until you know who you are, it doesn't matter what anybody else sees in you. It's what you see in yourself. And so visibility, the start of that journey, is in those quiet moments of really reflecting of, who are you, and what is your story, and who do you say that you are? Because until you see you, somebody else seeing you is never gonna do it. And certainly, like, my childhood was a big part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I wrote a thing to a buddy of mine just yesterday. In fact, we were talking about the storms and everything that have, from the hurricane here that came up from the Gulf and just did so much damage or whatnot. And but anyway, I said this line to him. I'm like, yeah, our battles prepare us for our wars. And so I agree with you 100%. Like, we talk about it all the time with different guests about how things that we have overcome at a younger age is really just preparation for other things to overcome. And then you get special people like you that are there to help other people see themselves, differently, but maybe even see themselves like the world sees them, not how they see themselves.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
literally have to help yourself in order to help other people. Everything comes back to relationship with self. Everything comes back to your ability to lead you. And actually, that's the fun part of life, because none of us can escape ourselves
Right.
24/7. Sometimes I've wanted to jump out my own body and just have a break, because I'll wear myself out, like we all do. We've all felt like that. We
Sure.
all feel like that, don't we? Where we're just like, you know what, Michael, just shut up and just stop being a flower, or whatever it is, and just I say it to myself. I'm like, Mark, you're such a flower right now. Like, stop being such a flower. Like, I literally will tell myself, like, but you have to, everything. It doesn't matter what we're any of us are creating, what any industry we're in, like, it all is gonna derive from relationship with self, bringing it back to self. The more that we heal self, the more we can heal other people. The more we see ourselves, the more we can see others. Everything is about do to you and then do unto others. Get the healing and then express the healing. And that's the way it is. That's how I see life, and that's how I see business.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so true. So, Mark, in a lot of the work that you do, you talk about giving people this safe and supportive space to be who they really are, and to find their voice and tell their story. And I've got to ask the question: how do you create that for somebody who doesn't feel safe and supportive themselves?
Yeah, without sounding like a stuck record, but I feel like I have to lead with that, and then I'll add a different maybe angle and addition, because I think, how am I creating a safe space for others is absolutely the byproduct of creating a safe space for me. And that means having time just to be with my thoughts, feel what I need to feel, give myself that space, give myself that opportunity to breathe. And I think that that's one of the main reasons why people feel safe in my space, is because I've sat in my own struggle. I've sat in difficult emotions, hard emotions. I've sat in my mistakes, and I've sat in my brokenness, and I've sat, like, in every area of my life where I've had a traumatic event. And I think that because I've honored myself in that, one of the byproducts of that is the fact that it's creating an energy and a space for others, because I give that to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if somebody's struggling to actually create safe space for others, I would actually say it's because they're not creating that safe space for themselves.
Mm.
And that for me is really key. And one of the reasons why I'm humbled when people say, I feel seen, I feel safe with you, Mark. And when people say that I bring them calm, for me, this is because of that journey that I have with myself. And sometimes I've had to hold myself, and I've had to mourn, and I've had to grieve, as we all do in our own way. But I think because I've given that to me, I honestly believe the depths of that I've given it to me, it enables me to give that depth to others. And I think that's it.
Mm. Yeah, that's super good. What do you think inspires you to continue to do this work?
Well, because there's always different levels of healing, and there's always different levels of growth, and it's very true. Like for me, and I'm sure for you guys, the more you know, the less you know. It's
Mm-hmm.
like my first book, Inside Job. I wrote that in 2014. I read that. There's things that I've wrote in there that I don't necessarily agree with anymore. Like maybe not as strong as that, but certainly maybe have a different perspective, because we go through life, we have experiences, we have different perspectives, and things evolve, and so do we. And I think, for me, I know that the more curious I am, and the more hungry I am, and the more willing I am to be able to be teachable, even when I have a good level and a deep level of understanding, and I've gathered wisdom through others and through my own journaling of trial and error, and also really embracing the fact that when I do something well, to really just accept that and be balanced in that in a healthy way. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it, Michael, because the reality is we only get one shot at this life. My competition is against me. Your competition is against you. And Tonya, your competition is against you. It's the same for all of us. We're not
Yep.
in a race against each other.
Right.
We're in a race against ourselves. What's the best that I can achieve? It may be different to the best that you can achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's really living intentionally. I live very intentionally. And sometimes, actually, one of the things that I'm trying to find that sweet spot in, sometimes I live too much in the future, because I'm constantly looking at where I'm going, and I'm constantly looking like, is this serving me? Like, I don't want to waste time. And sometimes I have to remind myself, like, today is a gift, and really just be present. I don't need to have it all figured out. But that's a big part of it. I think that keeps me wanting to keep, growing, and healing, and honoring that space.
Yeah, I think I like what you said, intentional, living intentionally. And it's interesting you said that, because I think I fall into that camp these days. Yeah, when you're a business owner, and you're intent on growing a business, right? You're always looking to the future, and sometimes you have to stop and say, you know what, I need to be today. Like, I need to be in today. I mean, yesterday's gone, tomorrow's unsure, today is 100%. And I haven't been enough in that. And then, and so it is a constant balance. But I really like the way you put that, intentionally, like living intentionally. That's thoughtful, mindful of where we're at today. Very
Absolutely.
important.
I never do anything without the intention of doing it.
Yeah.
I don't drift or sleepwalk through life.
Right.
If I turn up for something, it's because I want to turn up for it. So I don't do things for the sake of doing them. I do them because actually I believe in them. I enjoy them. I agree with them. Yeah, and that's very much the way that I am.
Like what you're hearing? Hit that subscribe button and learn how you can change how you're seen and charge what you're worth. Well, I've gotten to know you throughout this process so much better, and it's been a true pleasure, Mark. I mean, we loved you before we went through this process with you, but going through this just to get to see, behind the scenes even more has been an awesome journey. And I want to kind of segue into that journey just a little bit and share some of that. So I'd like you to start out by just sharing with the audience, why did you come into the BrandFace program?
I mean, there's two main reasons why I came into the BrandFace program. That the first one was because I heard a question that nobody wants to hear, which is, Mark, you do so many things, but what exactly is it that you do? So who wants to hear that? I mean, I love clarity. Like, I want people to know exactly what I do and what I can do for them. And I guess, some people would say, you've got so many hats. And I used to say yes, but the same head, which is totally true. But it was a matter of how do I communicate that in a way that touches on everything that I do, in a way that people understand it. And I knew you guys are excellent at that. And so that was one of the reasons why. And the second reason is, sometimes you hear quotes and you have cliches, and I try and say it a different way to what it is, and I know you guys use this as well, and have kind of like a different segue off it, but it's, people buy from people, and the reality is if I'm going to do business with somebody, either where somebody's my client or I'm their client, I want to firstly like them, because for me, it's like, if I'm going to spend time with somebody, then I better like them. And I also think that if there is challenges and difficulties, if you like someone, you've got a lot more compassion, understanding, and grace. So I think there's skin in the game both ways there. And because of the fact that you guys have been true and steady and consistent for years, it's very much a no-brainer for me to be like, I need help with my messaging, and I love you guys, and so therefore it's the perfect match.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
What were you concerned about in joining and coming into the program? Did you have any major concerns about this?
No, I don't think I did have major concerns, because for me, I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not. So self-awareness for me is like one of the most beautiful things on the planet, and we all need to be good at it and get better at it. And for me, no, I didn't feel any hesitation or any concerns, because you guys are the authorities and the experts within what you do. And if I could do it, then I wouldn't have had the headache that I had already. I know who I am, and I know where my skill set is, and I'm really good at what I do. And then there's things like brand messaging that I'm not good at, because people didn't know what is it that I do. So for me, it was like, and I'm very much like this, if I'm in partnership or I've hired somebody to give me a skill or a product, I want to get out of the way and let them. And of course, like when it comes to branding, you have your own emotions, your own feelings, your own identity. And I was saying to somebody the other day, I don't always know what I want, but if you show me 10 things, I'll tell you the 9 things I don't. And then it's through that I'm able to say, that's it. I'm very good at saying I don't like that, because if it's off, it's off.
Right.
And my brain, like I'm a terrible drawer, right? If I had to draw a cow, like I can't even, I know what a cow looks like, but I can't even, the thought of drawing a cow, I just can't pull that, even though I know what a cow looks like. I just can't articulate that onto paper. It's like, you know, for me, it was like, these guys are the experts. Let them have their way, because what's the point of hiring someone and never letting them have that creative flair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's so true. And you know, but I think too, you have to have, I know for me personally, you have to have confidence in that group or that person before you can let that go. And that was something I felt with Tanya, you know, in our origin story when I hired her, because I you know, needed help with marketing. I didn't let her know that for a
You
minute.
just wanted a pretty girl to brighten up your days, is the real
It
truth.
didn't hurt. It did not hurt that she was beautiful. That helped, I will say. But I was so hard on her, you know, for that very reason, you know, because I really wanted to put her to the test, and she far surpassed that. And then I was just able to let go. She'll tell people like, "Oh, Michael, he was a great client because he just let me do what I was supposed to do, and he tried to execute the best way." Well, it's because I had confidence that she knew what she was talking about. And like you said, it's very important that we let people do that. I can't draw a cow either, Mark. So you're not alone in not being able to draw cows, but we can do other things that are fantastic. It just happens to be that that's not our thing.
I
And
can
so
eat a
let
cow.
somebody else do it. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, what would you say would be the most eye-opening thing for you throughout the journey?
Well, I think on emotional level, I think just on that journey with you in terms of like my story, and then just having that moment of realizing that one of the main reasons why I give people a voice is because I felt I didn't have one as a kid, and that absolutely like rocked my world, because it was a beautiful moment, and it really helped me resonate with my own story and be able to share it in a much more beautiful way. And then I think, you know, talking about my grandfather a lot as well, because he was so entrepreneurial, and yet he never sat me down and taught me the ways of business. I've always been good at observing people, and I've always been good at reflecting. And it's interesting because he died when I was 18, and I started doing like some work with him. Like, I don't know, it's like sometimes the exact age kind of does, I get a little bit confused just because of some of the challenges in my child, but I was young, and I just remember like there's certain things I just observed with him. He was incredible with people. He had such a great reputation. He had a jovial, spirited energy. So he'd walk into the kitchen and, you know, people would greet him. You know, he was fantastic at hospitality. So he would always organize like these incredible dinners for his family and his close friends. So there was a lot that I just picked up from him in terms of his ability to build a rapport, his ability to connect with people. We're not carbon copies, but there's certain things within him, how he expressed himself, that really took root. And I think, you know, that was the thing I think that I really drew out from the experience is actually just in those moments of really understanding a little bit more deeply as to why I do what I do. So I felt like I really connected with my purpose in a beautiful way. That was, I think, probably the standout.
Yeah,
That's really good to hear.
it is. And I want to interject here too, because we started this journey by really looking deeply at what were those things that influenced you and motivated you to work with the people that you work with today, and how it changes their lives. And we came up with the brand identifier, which is a tagline or slogan that basically says, this is the one thing I want to be known for. And for you, it was make your mark, which is a play on words, of course, and also a nod back to your book, Mark of a Man. And so we just felt like it really, really aligned, because if you take that story all the way back to your grandfather, that's what he did for you. He made a mark in your life, and now you're making a mark in others, and you're helping them make their mark. So it's just beautiful, like triple entendre, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we connected on that, and you said, yep, that's it, that really resonates with me, that was one of my best days, because I love seeing that all of that come together in a way that makes you proud to put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yeah. Like when you said it, I was like, yes, it like absolutely hits on all the different things that I do, whether it's writing, whether it's speaking, emceeing, whether it's interviewing people, whatever it is that I'm doing, that desire, that deep desire, that psychological desire in me, which is to contribute, which is to pour in, which is to get inside people's heads, which is to encourage them and give them the space to be able to tune into self in order to really be able to drive what it is that they're bringing to the table, what they're bringing to the world. And like you say, that's beautiful. Like just that sense of, you know, I was marked and now, you know, I mark others, and they will then mark others through their message, through their story. And again, going back to, we need to mark ourselves, again, bringing it back to self in order to be able to, you know, express it out from there. Yeah, it's golden.
It fits, that's for sure. Yeah, how has that brand helped you already?
Yeah, so, you know, I've had more inquiries about people wanting exposure in different media representations that I have. So it's been fantastic in terms of just the clarity of people saying, you know, I want to share my story. You know, how do I do that? So just the clarity on that already has just been like really eye-opening. And yeah, more people are wanting to really interview me and pick my brain. And I'm very mindful of the fact that it's quite funny, really, because I'm a big believer there's enough to go around. Now, I know that people want to interview me because they want some of my collateral. And it's interesting because some people will be like, in my case, some people will be like, yeah, I'm not going to do that interview because they just want my collateral. But the way that I see it is they will get collateral, whether it's from you or from somebody else. So you might as well put your name to it.
Sure.
That's a great point.
Love it. I absolutely love it. It's great advice.
It sure is.
You know,
what would you say to other people who are considering going through this journey? Because like you said, you know, people need to feel good about the space they're in. They need to feel safe, etc. What would you say to somebody who's considering becoming a brand face like you?
You know, obviously, you know, we live in a world where we, again, it comes down to self-awareness. So, you know, for me, knowing in my case that I was hearing that question, you know, so Mark, what exactly is it that you do? I mean, reflecting on, are you hearing like comments like that? Or it could be that you're just at a point where you feel like you're getting a little bit distracted by your competition, because that's something that I never do. I never look at the competition. I couldn't give two rats. It's like I said, there's only one Mark Sephton. You know, there's only I can do it the way that I do it. And it's like, I'm not going to go look at somebody else and try and be something that I'm not. I'm going to be within me. So I think if you're somebody who's kind of being distracted by what other people do, maybe you're lacking a little bit of confidence, or maybe your motivation and your why has kind of waned, then I think that those sorts of people are the ones that would really benefit from conversation with you guys, because of the fact that you bring it back to source, and then bring it in a way that's really clear and evident. So that would be like what I'd be thinking.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, thank you for that. Well, Mark, tell the audience how they can get in touch with you. How can they work with you?
Yeah, so my website's still being updated. Obviously, like I've done all the socials and getting that ready to be able to transition that. But probably people are best to go to my website, because then it does branch off to all my social media and websites, marksefton.com. But I'm very open to DMs, like on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm very open. I read all my own messages and I reply to all my own messages. It's something at least at this stage where I actually enjoy taking the time to respond personally to people. It's actually one of the things that I don't know whether I'd ever outsource, but that's just a Mark thing.
Yeah.
Can't say I disagree with that, Mark.
Right.
And that's a part of the authenticity that you really represent as well. Well, thank you, Mark. I can't tell you what a pleasure it has been. We loved you before this. We love you even more after this. And thank you for trusting in us to help you build your very personal brand. You've been amazing.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, the whole experience, the patience, the time to listen to what it is that I really wanted, the ability to join me when there were a couple of things where we knew we weren't quite capturing it, and we just persevered, and I didn't sense any irritation or frustration, which I think is really important when you're working in something. And the proof's in the pudding. I always say, everything's about the fruit. You want to see whether something was worth the investment, then it's about the fruit that it produces. Does it produce clarity? Does it produce people that actually do then end up doing business with you, because now the route to market is obvious? They know exactly what you can do for them. And these are the things that I think, have been really beneficial for me in this journey with you guys.
That's really good to hear.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and well articulated. No surprise.
You can pay me later.
There you go.
Handsomely. Yes, we shall. Thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
Ready to change how you're seen and charge what you're worth? If you're not getting enough opportunities to meet with ideal customers, or the prospects you're meeting with just aren't ideal, it's most likely your brand that's holding you back. So if you're a coach, consultant, or expert who is on the rise, you need our ultimate guide to a freedom-based brand. Download it free now at BrandFaceGuide.com.